Welcome back to the finale of What If Clone Troopers Were Force Sensitive. Thank you to all of you who watched the first part of this video. To recap what happened in that episode, in the event you haven't seen it, the actions of Commander Pons on Geonosis had triggered the Jedi Order into investigating the clone army. Finding the clones to be based on the blood of Master Sifo-Dyas, Anakin and Obi-Wan fought off Dooku for the information of Silman, but escaping Obadiah, the Sith's fleet forced them to crash on Kessel. Eventually leaving the planet, they are on the journey to Coruscant with secrets of the clones. In the centre of the Jedi Council chamber, the holographic figure of Admiral Tarkin stood in the centre of the room and ominously announced that the clones had begun to grow out of their control. As the Jedi look out of the window onto the ground beneath them, they see the clones abusing their new powers, pushing innocent civilians into passing speeders before roaring into the skies. As the Jedi ran out of the temple to stop the clones from destroying their home, Palpatine was forced to take action from his office, and ordering his apprentice to mobilise their fleet and army, he also gave the coordinates for immediate access to Coruscant, as he waited for the perfect time to execute Order 66. As he peered below, he saw what he hoped to be his future apprentice Anakin Skywalker landing by the main military platform and making a typically bold move by standing on top of the primary repulsor tank and trying to sway the conscience of the clone troopers. Obi-Wan shook his head at Anakin's boldness, but he watched as the clones all turned to the Jedi Knight and saluted him as if he was under their control. As the Jedi Master was about to suggest going to Geonosis and advance their investigation into the use of the body of Sifo-Dyas, they all hear rumbling from the clouds. The holotable in their command base flickered into life, and the pleading voice of Admiral Yularen began to crackle that a Separatist fleet had entered into their airspace. The Jedi looked above them as a dreadnought started to fire at their fleet, and a purple beam from its ion cannon formed a plasma energy field around the destroyers. Plo Koon and Saesee Tiin left their previous positions and joined the clone troopers in their ARC-170 starfighters to try and disable the plasma rotors, whilst the other Jedi positioned themselves on the ground. Anakin and Obi-Wan are instructed by Grandmaster Yoda to go and escort the Chancellor to the safety of his home planet of Naboo, so rushing to his office, the Jedi find it to be deserted, and they logically think that he had been kidnapped by the Sith. The Master and Padawan decide they need to find either Grievous or Dooku, and supporting the Jedi's aerial attack, Plo Koon's squadron diverted the Separatist fighters to give Anakin and Obi-Wan just enough time to enter Grievous's flagship. The Jedi leap out of their starfighters and are instantly faced by the commander of the droid army and an entire legion of battle droids, so Anakin asks for more reinforcements to land in their hangar bay. Unable to move any further forward, Anakin points to R2-D2 and the astromech takes control of Anakin's ship, then opens fire. Obi-Wan cannot fault the effectiveness of the strategy, despite repeatedly being knocked off of his feet by the blast to the centre of the dreadnought. Grievous cannot tolerate the failure of his army, and wrenching the cover from the hiding spot of the Jedi, he grabbed the robes of Obi-Wan. The Jedi Master shoved Grievous back into the walls of the ship, and with Plo Koon and Saesee Tiin arriving to support their army, the Jedi demand for Grievous to tell them about the secrets of the Sith. The droid general simultaneously coughed and laughed at the Jedi, and motioning to one of the surviving droids, Obi-Wan ordered the Jedi to run to their ships as a series of explosions began to go off. Anakin is the last to leave the trail of fire when they all sense a disturbance in the Force as they return to the battle on the ground of Coruscant. Palpatine had just executed Order 66 after the death of Grievous aboard his ship and the fall of Dooku at the hands of Yoda and Mace Windu, but contrary to his plans, the clones were resisting his orders. Their improved connection to the Force had eroded their control chips, and with the Jedi now aware of his true identity, he was in trouble. Attempting to make a swift departure in his executive shuttle, the Sith Lord is stopped in his hangar, with the Jedi surrounding him in a circular formation. Palpatine unleashed a Force-powered wave in all directions, but the Jedi formed their own barrier to block the attack, reflecting it back onto him, and he perished from his own power. The Jedi fell to the floor in exhaustion, and after they had recovered, they discussed what to do with the clones. Rather than decommissioning the army, the Jedi decide to complete their training in the Force and use them to protect worlds far and wide, influencing their own status in the galaxy as the symbolic keepers of the peace. That is it for What If Clone Troopers were Force sensitive. If you enjoyed this what if, please like this video, turn on that notification bell, click that subscribe button on this channel, as well as on my other channel What If Films. And as always, leave a comment on what if you'd all like to see next, and how I can improve my videos. Thank you all very much for watching, and see you next time.